I got to talk to you about number 7 because it's the one that drives me crazy. I don't know how many of you have read my writings, but the issue is product regulation. Product regulation, which is, yeah, it's like a real sore spot for me, actually. When I began to sort of jump on this when I realized that the state has so seriously degraded our toilets to the point that they got work. Look, toilets? I mean, how dare you? I mean, like flushing away human waste is like a first condition of civilization, all right? That's what we did. I probably achieved this sometime in the 13th century. I don't know when it was, but it was a long time ago. We've learned how to get rid of human waste so that we would not be poisoned and die, all right? So then it took the U.S. Congress to kind of revert us back, you know, and say, no, really, it's really regrettable the way your waste just sort of goes away like that. We need a much different system where actually it's very difficult for you to do it. You know, where it sort of sticks around and hangs around your house and sticks in everything. That's our need. So yeah, that was the first, and then you begin to notice other things. You know, like oh my shower head doesn't freaking work, right? You know, my shower head's like this big. You know, but it's giving like a little trickle. Why is this happening? So I learned how to hack my shower. I enjoy hacking shower heads. You should carry a corkscrew with you.
That's it.
Do you carry a corkscrew with you for this reason? When I go to a new hotel room, I walk in, I turn on the light, I throw it on my bags, and I walk to the shower and screw it and put the corkscrew and pull out that stopper. It's an act of benevolence, you know, not just for you, but for every customer that comes after you. They will be happy. But look, these product regulations, you know, they destroy everything. I wrote an article about do you know this? 5 years ago, the government decided they had a new plan for the gas can. Do you know about this? So gas cans used to, like, they would work, actually. You put gas in, you pour it out, and comes out. I think they were invented, like, the 7th century or something like that. And then 5 years ago, Congress came up with a new idea. They said, you know, gas cans, you know, they're spilling too much, you know, so we're going to take off the valve, and there's no valves on the sort of, what's it called? You know, the thing that... Yeah, there's the spout on the other side and whatever. You know, it's the thing, air comes out, you know. And they gave us a new spout. So I'm filling up my gas tank the other day, because I just had to fill it. Okay? So I borrowed this gas can from the local, whatever, the local car shop, and I was trying to pour it, it doesn't work, right? So I'm like, what is wrong with this thing? So I had to pull it out. I'm testing it on the ground, I'm testing it over here. I had to do with my can. So pretty soon I've got this lake of gas. So this gas, I mean, if I lit up a cigarette, it would have been, you know, disaster. So this is our new gas cans, right? Oh, they're against spilling gas, so they give us this gas can that's guaranteed that you're going to get more gas on the ground than in your car. Anyway, so on it's been. You know, like every product, everything you see in the store is regulated. Everything, every product. You know, like I love it's a fun game now that everything's online. You can actually look all this stuff up. Like I was wondering, like, how come I can't buy a decent chicken stock? You ever noticed that you get chicken stock and like pour it in the soup? It's like, why is this like water? So I looked it up. Well, there's very strict government regulations. You just can't have too much chicken in the chicken. It's just not allowed. You know. Anyway, here's the point. The point of this one is all of this is over. It's coming to an end very quickly, and for one reason: 3D printing technology. That's the end. You know, the 3D printing with a CAD file distributed on the beautiful thing called the distributed network. This glorious universal system of nodes where you get infinite distribution of information, utterly unstoppable and reproducible. You can crush trillions and trillions and trillions of copies of this thing so long as one's left. It can reproduce itself 1 trillion times over. A distributed network is more powerful than all the governments in the world for all time that have ever existed. A distributed network is a secret weapon. It smashes them, it outsmarts them. It makes them look like the fools that they are. We finally found our tool in the distributed network. You post one CAD file of a gas tank, a gas can that works, on a distributed network, of a shower head that you can print out, and there are many such things. And you get your 3D printer at home, and it's all over. The click of a button, and Leviathan is brought to its knees. there are no more regulations. There are no more controls, no more gatekeepers, no more masters. They're all disabled by a simple act of clicking a button. It's so beautiful. And that's all going to happen. It's all happening now. Number 8, transportation. One of my favorite things to do you like to do this? When you're standing outside the hotel, wanting to get to the airport, pull out your smartphone, click a little button that says Uber. Uber. And then arrives the inadvertent frontline player in the great anarchist revolution. He arrives in his car and says, "Hello, Mr. Tucker. I'm so happy to take you to the airport." It's so beautiful. And you don't have to pay him. That's the way they get around the law. You don't pay him directly. Uber charges your credit card. So you see what happened here, right? What Uber did with transportation. They found the flaw in the system, and they exploited it. It's like in the second Hunger Games movie. Did you see it? Catching Fire. Every system has a flaw. Every system has a flaw. Great entrepreneurs find it. The entrepreneurs behind Uber found it. And they're smashing and destroying every day while we sleep. Smashing and destroying transportation monopolies. The most preposterous possible government regulation you can imagine. They're all being broken down and destroyed. I absolutely love it. It's so wonderful. And I use Uber every chance I can get. And there are other services now. There's another service, Ride? Lyft. Yeah, so I don't want to leave anybody out. But, you know, now the cat's out of the bag, it's done. Taxi monopolies, transportation monopolies, they're out of the end. Do you see why this is important? These are anomalies. Anomalies breaking down a theory. The theory is the state. The anomalies are human freedom. We're seeing that freedom works better than the state. It's not possible to persist in a bad theory for that much longer. Things are breaking down. The state is a mechanism. Let me mention one other. I don't have to say anything about this. I was talking to my friend Marianne Copenhagen. She goes, "In your talk today, will you mention the post office?" I said, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll put that as number 9. Post office." Okay. How preposterous. Did you know, I don't know if you knew this, but in the early 2000s, the post office decided that they were going to have their own system of email. Did you know that? They said, well, they noticed that email was sort of seemed to be popular. I said, this is kind of a problem for us. Like, people aren't sending letters anymore. So the head of the post office, the postmaster general, whatever he's called, suddenly occurred to me how stupid the word that is, postmaster general. General of mail. So he said, well, look, well, there's an easy answer here. We just have to have our own email system. And so the question is like, well, why would people switch to the post office, actually, instead of using what they're using now? And he just had, I mean, government employees in this way. They have a very strange way of working as well. He said, well, I mean, clearly, I mean, the answer is obvious. Well, people will trust us because we're the government. Do they believe this? I mean, you know, it seems sincere, you know, like really thinks. And so they actually came up with their own email system. I think it was called something like Postal Buddy, or something like that. I remember going to the post office, and there was this angry-looking machine with like this. It was like had like one of those spooky clown smiles that you see, you know, on horror films or something. They seemed to be going like, get your email address, and it was just terrifying. I mean, nobody would get anywhere near it. Well, I think maybe like 2.5 people, you know, signed up for the post office email, and it came and went very quickly. But you can read online the speech unveiling this, and they were certain that post office email was going to replace all of the email. You know, China has its own post office. And I was talking to a friend in China the other day. He said, oh, yeah, I think I've heard of that. Actually, there are hundreds, even thousands of systems of mail delivery in China. And people would only ever use the government system as a last resort. You know, the trucks sort of, you know, they roll around. There's various offices and stuff, and people are sleeping in them, you know. But mostly it's just been rendered completely obsolete in China. And that's exactly what's happening in this country. I look forward to it. It's definitely the death of the post office. It's coming. And, you know, it's actually very significant. It's more significant than just that the post office dies. It's that the government tried to regulate our communications with each other, how we contacted each other. It wanted access to our associations and to control them. That's what the post office was really all about, at least in the 20th century. And it didn't work out for them at all. Okay, my 10th one is, to me, the most exciting example of all. And I'm going to try to keep it short, although I could lecture about this topic for like 1,000 years. So you understand that the Federal Reserve no longer works, right? Like Janet Yellen, yeah, she thinks that, well, people imagine that she's controlling the system. She doesn't control the system. The Fed doesn't know how much money is out there, what money is or what money isn't. They don't even understand the effects of what they're doing. They can't control it. They can't control the money supply anymore, which has become so complicated with the shadow banking system and depositor behavior. All they're trying to do is survive. Since 2008, it was a very interesting thing to see. That was really the beginning of the end of the Federal Reserve's kind of overweening control over the money and banking system. They tried to revive the economy. They tried to reflate. They tried to create trillions in new money, hot money that would hit the streets and actually generate massive price increases so that that would carry up house prices again and bail out the banking system. Nothing they did worked. Nothing they did worked. They've been at it for 5 years, creating trillions and trillions of phony money, fake money that's landed in the banking system where it's stuck, just prettifying the bank balance sheets of institutions that are otherwise bankrupt, just so they can survive from an accounting point of view and a liquidity point of view. It has done absolutely nothing to revive the economy. In the first quarter of this year, do you know this? At least according to official statistics, the U.S. economy shrank. It shrank. We are growing at like 1 or 2% per year. This is a calamity. All of it rests at the foot of the Federal Reserve System. They promised to save us. We gave them all power. They had the grand theory. They pranced around. They used everything that they possibly could do. But they utterly and completely failed. And in so many ways, it was, I think, the last failure. Because in that same year, a programmer or a team of programmers we don't know, named Satoshi Nakamoto, did something that I, as a student of monetary history for 30 years, never could have imagined possible. He invented a new money and payment system out of ones and zeros and released it onto an internet forum and said, here's my new system. If you like it, use it. And that was it. And the Genesis block came out in 2009, a new money for the internet age. And it was amazing. For 8 to 10 months, the new ledger was tested. The blockchain was employed by geeks around the world to send messages back and forward to each other, tested and tested again, and finally it dawned on people, oh my God, what we have here with the blockchain is not just a system of currency. It's a new method for communicating, a new method for transferring units of value peer-to-peer between one person and any other person in the world, instantly, securely, in a way that's non-duplicatable. It was an unbelievable revelation using cryptography, open source programming, distributed networks, and this beautiful invention called the blockchain. We saw something amazing. And after 10 months, we saw Bitcoin achieve its first value as a reflection of the value of the blockchain itself. I think the first posted price of Bitcoin was October 5th, 2009, and it was something like a 1/12 of a penny. And it was unbelievable. A presumably worthless bunch of ones and zeros suddenly obtained a market value. And in 5 short years, we've seen this become a new safe haven for the world, an actual vision of hope, of how we can escape 100 years of monetary nationalism, monetary socialism, in which government controlled half of every economic transaction. And it's showing us a vision of a future in which money emerges from below. You understand, Satoshi never published his white paper in the Federal Reserve Bulletin. He didn't write for the American Economic Review. He didn't go to the Senate Banking Committee and ask them to consider his proposal. There wasn't a single academic economist anywhere in the world who imagined something like Bitcoin as possible. This innovation came from nowhere, from below. A massive, massive revolutionary act of astonishing creativity that was so amazing that nobody could do anything but put it down, and they're still putting it down. But Bitcoin is the honey badger of currencies. And it just doesn't give a shit. So what can we do with Bitcoin? I see Bitcoin becoming, you know what's also amazing? You know, up into the year 1800, most of the currencies that were used in this country were foreign currencies. I mean, there was a time in this country's history where foreign currencies were very much circulated along with domestic currencies. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing about money that should be national. There's nothing about money that should be connected to and tied to patriotism or the nation state or any of that or rest of that nonsense. Money should be a global phenomenon. It's something that connects us as a human community. It should be a means by which we can all cooperate all over the world, however many billions of us want to, in the great project of building civilization. But look what happened. Government took it over, and they excluded more than half of the world's population from their rotten, cartelized, corrupt system of centralization and graft. And now half of the world's population is excluded. They are not, I don't care what your talents are, what you want to buy, what you want to sell, if you don't have access to a bank, if you don't have access to a credit card, under the current nationalized system, you don't have access to modernity. You don't have access to prosperity. This system must end. It is an evil, evil system that's keeping the poor poor and subsidizing the rich at the expense of everybody else in the world. It has to end, and it will end. With Bitcoin, anyone in the world with a cell phone, thank God for private enterprise distributing more cell phones in the world than anything. I mean, you know, in Africa today, you know, you might not have indoor plumbing, you might not have paved streets, you might not have a reliable form of electricity, but you damn sure have an iPhone or a Samsung. You know, this is the way it is. And it's a beautiful thing. If you have a cell phone, you can be an owner of Bitcoin. Nobody's asking about your past. Nobody's asking about your IP address. You know, the current system is very evil. I'll just stop right now. Okay. Bitcoin liberates humanity from everything that they tried to create. And this exploitative, evil, cartelized system all comes collapsing down in the face of Bitcoin, which is a peer-to-peer service that doesn't require you to ask anybody's permission to be amazing in life and to trade with other people and cooperate with other people. When Bitcoin reaches the developing world, which it already is, and which is going to continue to do over the next 5 to 10 years, we are going to see amazing things happen. As I say, half of the human race is currently excluded from the division of labor thanks to the current system. If we re-include them, can you imagine what the future is going to look like? It means it's going to make the collapse of the Berlin Wall look like nothing. The lift of the Iron Curtain, the reforms in China, the collapse of the Soviet Union, all those things brought great progress and prosperity to the world. The end of the nation-state's control over money and banking is going to unleash a level of human energy like we've not seen in 1,000 years. And it's all due to one programmer, Satoshi Nakamoto, who never asked anybody's permission. Isn't that beautiful? He was not willing to be caged. He said, we believe in freedom and we're going to achieve it. This, I think, my friends, is the way forward. We have to stop asking for our rights to be free. We have to start acting as if we are free already. It's only way. It's the only way to understand. The reform of the world begins with the reform of ourselves. It begins with understanding, believing, and having courage, and stepping out there, making changes in our own life. Then we can discover, incredibly, we can discover the flaws in the system. We can do this for ourselves. We not only benefit ourselves and our families and our communities, but we lay the foundations for a freer world. This is how civilization progresses. A paradigm shift. The old theory. There are too many anomalies. It's unsustainable. We can continue to break this down. We're in a pre-paradigmatic stage. I'm guessing we probably have 10 or 20 years to do this. The world is very confused. Very confused. It's up to people like us to educate, to reform our lives, help others navigate through these choppy waters and the last days of statism, and bring in and usher in a new renaissance for human liberty. Thank you for listening to me today, and thank you for being part of the revolution.